we're going to go through some of this paperwork, but before that, do you want to... Is there anything else that you want to talk to the public? Okay, is there anything else you want to talk to the public about?
I think you should all be concerned about what they're doing and how they're drugging people in asylums and in hospitals too. That there are drugs that if you take them at the same time will kill. That I've been on one that I got a terrible rash that if I'm on it again I actually will die. It dissolves your arteries. It's called lamotrigine.
I think that might be a rash. You've got a bit of a rash there.
I don't care.
Well, it's, you know.
It could be from soap.
From the soap.
That I only wash with water. That I used to use Clinique. So.
Okay, some of this paperwork is 26th of July, Mental Health Law Centre, who represented you in a hearing on the 8th of August 2012.
It was to try and get out of Graylands. I did it, but I've been still there.
But they made her, again, voluntary, maintain your status as an involuntary patient detained in hospital, Graylands. Not a hospital, it's just a prison. Did you say it's like a prison?
I call it prison camp.
Alright. And that was the 8th of August. And then there's a brochure setting out your rights and obligations as an involuntary patient. So that decision was made on the 8th of August. This Mental Health Review Board, the people involved in that board just locking people up. Now, it's the Mental Health Act 1996 and the other legislation that allows them to do it, but what I want is I want that legislation repealed and changed, amended, and have the practice of psychiatry stopped.
I think the mental health law should be changed. I think it's all wrong what they're doing. Absolutely positive and confident in saying that it's wrong, and it is. And I'm very concerned for the other patients I've been with. There's self-harming going on, that they have to be specially bandaged, that it actually should be getting special help for that psychologically, that she had a personality defect disorder as well because she had an identity problem. Seeing other people more beautiful around than she was. She wasn't beautiful at all, and I knew it. And I'm not beautiful at all, but I actually don't care.
Yeah, actually there's several issues I want to raise is that when they make a decision under the Mental Health Review Board, they have 28 days to appeal. So that time for appeal is gone. It says here that applications for a SAT review must be made within 28 days after the day on which the board gives notice of this decision. Applications received after this date will not be accepted unless the tribunal grants an extension of time. Yet under the Act, it says that they have to do a periodic review. Apart from reviews requested by the patient, the Act requires the board to review the status of all involuntary patients within 8 weeks of that status commencing. And I'm wondering whether they are doing that, in fact.
I had no glasses, so I couldn't read what I was supposed to be reading, and they don't even help you when you ask them to come and please read it and tell me what's going on. They don't like helping you at all. The social worker didn't even like helping me either, and neither did the welfare officer. That I asked for help from the nurses, they wouldn't do it. And I think it's all very wrong. That I think the general public should know what's going on, and the more people that know and make a fuss, the better.
Well, the longer they're locked up,
the worse it gets.
The higher the chance that they'll die because of this disgusting treatment and the drugging. And that they're required to, under the Act, within 8 weeks of that status, conduct a review. Now, I'm wondering if they're doing that. They're probably not automatically doing that every 8 weeks. And then if they're therefore involuntary for a longer period, the board must conduct a periodic review every 6 months. Well, how long are they going to last? Are they going to last 6 months? Are they going to last 12? They'll be dead. They'll be dead. And they're saying that they have to
And my father said I should have injections for the rest of my life. He's such a nasty man that I don't really care if I see him again, because he hurt me so much when he said that. When he knows I can't take the medication, and neither can he.
Well, you can request to consider the same issue again with the board, but you have to wait 28 days. But to file an appeal with the State Administrative Tribunal, you have to do it within 21 days. And then under the Act, the board is required to do it automatically every 8 weeks. So every, what's that, 56 days. Every 56 days. So, and I'm just wondering if that's, who's monitoring that? Is that happening? Because we have to have a Royal Commission. It has to extend to the Mental Health Review Board, the Mental Health Commission, who drafted that genocidal bill, and the State Administrative Tribunal. So the Mental Health Review Board is locking people up. But it's always the same people involved, the same people, years after year after year after year, controlling everything and locking these people up, and there has been no proper, I think the last time they had a major investigation into this practice was in the 1960s. I think in 1963 I was told by Keith Wilson, who contacted me, that there was a minor...
That more people that are vocal about everything, the patients included, the better, in my opinion. And the more you do it, the less likely people are to get away with their bad treatment.
And do you think that I'm doing the right thing?
Yes.
Calling for a Royal Commission?
Yes, definitely. That I'd like to help with that too. That if I understood the law better, I'd do it myself. That I'm dyslexic, I've had reading problems. That if I could read and understand what I was reading, I would do it. That I'm very serious about what I'm saying, that it's extremely important what I've just been saying, that the general public will have to do something. And I don't like the politicians, and I wouldn't like to be one myself actually, but I don't like Labour, and I think there should only be one party with one portfolio per person, not 2 or 3.
Like the West Australian Party, like our party.
Yeah, that I think there's a lot to know about what's going on in the world, about pollution, and the seriousness of the refugees coming into our country, that we're not ready for them and they know it, that we're having a lot coming by boat, that they're drowning at Christmas Island because the boats are unseaworthy, that the people that are doing it should be jailed because it's causing beautiful people to be drowned, children included, that I'm absolutely appalled when I saw a little child being thrown overboard, to set an example to the Australian government of what's going on, that their countries are unlivable, and they're not.
Well, it's the fault of the politicians in those countries.
I know, but we don't like it.
That are causing their
I know, and the Australians are on drugs over there, ecstasy. They're going berserk and shooting up in the sky. Especially Americans. The Taliban are really good shots. They only need 1 bullet, and it goes straight through the American's head and kills them.
Yeah, there's lots of violence going on, isn't
I don't like violence. I don't like guns. I like them all to be melted.
Melted down, and then we'll make some sculptures out of it. make some lovely sculptures and that sort of thing.
That I am very concerned about what's going on in the world, and Nostradamus has said that there's going to be a 3rd World War, and it's going to be in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's actually going on right now. And China's been involved, and it's got the most super war weapon, that it's radioactive, that they're using it in the Middle East, and Egypt's being bombed, that Syria's got problems, they've got a nasty dictator, and they're all fleeing into nearby Turkey, and Turkey doesn't want them there, that they're all in tents. And imagine that, post-traumatic stress disorder I call it, and that exists in war. If you just be pointed with a gun, you can get it.
War and violence is pretty bad. Anyway, so reason, nothing in life can be sorted out through discussion and negotiation, and
that I've had post-traumatic stress disorder because I've been so frightened about being threatened myself that I've got it. And I've had it for years. And I've had it from a very little girl, from being badly damaged by the teacher and being whacked a lot, being frightened. That it goes on in schools. I was hit and made to stand in a rubbish bin.
Well, they don't do that anymore. That's not.
Well, I was doing it to me.
Well, now they.
And I used to look around.
The children do it now to the teachers. It's the other way around now.
But I used to look around to see what all the class were doing, and I used to get whacked for it. That she used to smack my fingers for doing wrong work, and make me sit next to a boy who didn't even like me. And got into my desk and stole all my pencil cases and put ink blots, fingerprints all through my work. That I got whacked for that as well.
Yeah, wasn't your fault.
No, none of it.
Well, I think that people have been very cruel to you over the years, and I'd like to see that stop, and that Bridget wants to be respected about how you want to be treated. Is that right?
Yes, I do. But I'm not being respected at all at Graylands.
Well, they don't respect anybody, because let's have a look at this practice, the conceptions that they invented for their legislation, the concept of voluntary and involuntary. Who is a voluntary patient? You are a voluntary patient when you agree to accept treatment offered by a psychiatrist. Okay? So, this whole practice, what's happening is the focus is the wrong. It's been the wrong focus. The focus has been on the population and the people, but the focus has to be do a thorough, detailed, objective analysis of what psychiatrists do. So they classify a voluntary patient. As long as you accept their treatments, this is what psychiatrists say, then you're a voluntary patient. And so you're not a voluntary.
No, I don't accept it because I think it's wrong.
Okay.
And I shouldn't be drugged at all.
Right, and who is it?
And I'm feeling a lot better since I've been off my medication. I'm a lot happy and I'm sleeping.
Well, she's sleeping in my room and I'm sleeping in the lounge room, aren't I? So you got a nice. Do you feel safe here?
Yeah, and the beds aren't comfortable, so people don't sleep. And when you're on drugs, you don't sleep with it either. That I wasn't on sleeping tablets either. That they could have put me on 10 milligrams of Tamaze to help me sleep at night, and they weren't even doing it.
Do you feel safe here?
Yeah, I feel a lot safer being out than being in Graylands. In the community. That I know people break in. That if someone grabbed me again, I'd probably bite them. I've already done it to get away from me. That have grabbed me. And they've let me go.
Okay. We're going to look at who is an involuntary patient. An involuntary patient is a person against whom an involuntary patient order has been made. As an involuntary patient, you are required to accept psychiatric treatment even if it is against your will. So they can enforce that by community treatment orders, CTOs.
I've already been on that.
Well, you're on that now because they said that you had to stay at Graylands against your will in this order. But
that my brother's a real shit for not helping me, and he's got control of my money that he shouldn't even have it. That I've had to learn to live on a budget. That I've been ringing up the bank to make sure that I had enough money to keep my account open.
Because your brother Michael put you on the public trust.
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying to fight them to get my brother off, to have control of his own money, and I'm strolling against that. That people, they should just control their own money. If they have any difficulties controlling their money, they should get assistance. But what's happening is you're not getting any money.
I have to have permission from my brother to use my money when I could be using it to buy food.
And that's slavery. If you control someone's bank account and controlling their money, then you're putting them in a powerless situation. They have a
terrible
power over you, and that's slavery. That's would you say that's a human rights abuse?
Yes, definitely. And it's wrong.
It's a human rights abuse because if you can't control your own bank account and your money, you can't eat. Bridget can't eat. She's been
I can't buy
homeless.
cleaning fluids to clean my house. that it's not enough to live on. That when I was on it before, I used to have to go to Mum and get extra money, like $50.
Well, now you don't have anything.
No, because
Go
my
and live.
mother
She doesn't
is
have any
in a
money.
nursing home and so is my father.
Yeah. So how is it helping people if you take everything from them, their rights, their life, their freedom, their licence, their money? They can't survive, they die. That's what happens. And it's a human rights abuse. Would you say they're engaged in crimes against humanity?
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. I am very worried by what I'm seeing in the world and what I've learnt from television. That television and the media are extremely important. That some of what they're doing with the media is totally wrong as well. That there is such a thing as slander. And I'm not frightened to say anything because I don't care if I go to jail because people have done so much wrong to me that stating their names, I've got no qualms about doing it.
Well, it's not defamation if you...
It's the truth.
If you tell the truth and you've got evidence, it's not defamation. In fact, what they've done is engage in defamation against you and locked you up and forced you to have this treatment. And what about the other people at Graylands?
I'm very concerned for them because they're being forcibly injected in a lot of pain, that they just lie around and do nothing all day. That I've been trying to work and I go and do exercise, and not even exercising, and they're getting fat. That if you get fat round the middle, you're very prone to diabetes, that it actually affects your liver anyway.
Yeah.
That I've had terrible indigestion for medications, that I've had to be on Gaviscon, peppermints, and I've had terrible constipation, and I've had to be on fig and constipation medicine. That they don't really care about that in Graylands. That there's been people there that have got a special sack in the front due to being not eating the right food. They don't give you vegetables enough. They give you lots of carrot. That when I had appendicitis, I had carrot in my appendix.
Okay, let's talk about the rights of people, your rights as an involuntary patient. This is a patient's rights guide, a self-help guide to the Mental Health Law Centre, and I'm asking them to help push for a Royal Commission to have this practice stopped.
That I'd like to see the mental health law come about and change. That I'm very interested in that, and I'm all for it, and I'm very concerned about what's happening to the general public and the law. I don't like the police. I don't like the way the police treat the Aboriginal people. They're very intelligent. They're more intelligent than the whites, and the whites don't like it, and I don't really care because I think they're wonderful people, the Aboriginal people.
And what do you think about the police helping the psychiatrists?
I think that's wrong because they don't need help. They get about 300,000 the private ones every year. They're not even worth it.
But helping, they get the police to help them lock people up. What do you think about that?
Wrong.
Do you think it's the police's job to lock people up?
No. I don't think it's anybody's job.
Allegedly for a health reason? You know, they're saying allegedly these people are ill, but...
People are physically ill, that they don't make allowances for it, that they should have a place, a hospital for people for infectious disease at Graylands. That we could do in WA with an infectious disease hospital. There's such things as polio, that there's only a plane ride away. It's in Africa. And there's having to have tetanus and diphtheria and whooping cough injections because I have an allergy and I'm sensitive to horse serum. That immunisation is extremely important. That people aren't having it. That I've been having it every 10 years. So it's necessary for me to be on medical alert and keep account and time. They don't care in Graylands about immunising anyone. That they gave me a flu shot when I wanted polio, the doctors. That it hurt my arm so much and made me ill. And I was already ill with bronchitis at the time when he injected me. So they're very irresponsible GPs as well. That I can't take the flu injections at all. that I was warned never to have them, that he jabbed me in a rage because I wanted polio, that he only had polio for a baby, for immunisation.
Okay, it says here, your rights as an involuntary patient. An involuntary patient also has rights. Do you think that's true?
Yes.
Well, do you think that did you think that you have rights in Graylands?
No, I don't have any.
You don't?
They lie, they say you do, but you don't.
Okay, no rights. Person who must ensure that you are told of your rights is your treating psychiatrist.
They don't do it.
Did they tell you of your rights?
No.
Or your supervising psychiatrist?
None of them do. They laugh at you too.
Did they
They're
read your
in
rights?
control.
Did they read your rights out to you?
They love power and control. No.
Okay. And it says here in this booklet, in this box here, your rights as an involuntary patient. Your rights include the right to be told of your legal status in writing and orally. Well, they did that in writing, but
they didn't read it to me, and I didn't have my glasses, and they really think that's fantastic when you haven't got your glasses. They take them away from you and people steal them. They can use your frames and put glass in them. That I had my other glasses that Mum got for me that were magnifying glasses so I could read, and they stole those, the staff, when you hand in your bag to have it checked to see you're not taking anything out of the hospital that's not yours. That they keep your clothes when you're not looking, that I've had to have special shampoo, that people have to bring in clothes, that when they put me in the ambulance I didn't have a bag of clothes, so they had to give me clothes when I was in Graylands that they didn't fit properly. It's a terrible place, and they steal your clothes in there too. And I've had my pants stolen and socks stolen, and they took my shoes away from me in there. It's a terrible place, and I actually have narrow feet and I feel the cold. They've had to give me special socks so I don't slip on the floor.
Well, they steal everything from everybody. I got my brother a passport for identification purposes because I knew they were going to take his licence off him. That's what they were telling my family. And they just went in there and took the licence off him. They didn't even make him do a test. They just took it off him. And I got a passport for identification purposes, and he had it in his bag, and they hospitalised him for something, and then they stole the passport. They took it off him. They just take everything from everybody.
But I lost my licence. They took that as well.
You had a car licence.
That I'm going to sit for my licence again, and I'm going to get a driving school to take me and get my licence back. And it's very useful for identification because they take a photograph of you.
Okay, good. It says you have the right to be fully informed about your treatment.
Yes, and they should be telling you the side effects of all the drugs, and you should make your own choice whether you take them or not.
Yeah.
And they should make sure that if you can't take them and you have side effects, that they should put you onto something else.
Well, they're forcing you to have this treatment. They're forcing you to have these drugs. So it's a human rights abuse. It's abusive to do that. It says that you have the right to refuse non-psychiatric treatment with some exceptions. So non-psychiatric medical treatment.
That I've been an asthmatic, that they don't even let you have a puffer when you have an asthma attack. And I've had one in there.
In Graylands?
And they wouldn't even go and get it for me.
So
it was asthma.
You had an asthma attack. And
it was Bentley. It's actually at the time it was Bentley.
Well, that's criminal to medical criminal negligence.
And they don't understand medical things.
I get asthma as well, so I know what it's like not to be able to breathe.
They thought I was crying when I had red eyes because I was allergic to the horses there. They don't even care about that. That I'm not allergic to horses anymore, that I don't get red eyes, that I've been patting them. That they're lovely. And I'm really pleased.
That you have a right to a second opinion from another psychiatrist?
Yes, they gave it to me, but it was useless. That he just takes side with my psychiatrist, and it's pointless having one.
They all just support each other. That's what I've noticed. Except the ones that are speaking out. There are psychiatrists, particularly in the United States, who are speaking out and who are rejecting their own profession because they can see it's abusive. You can you have a right to access your medical records.
If they do that, they can take bits of them out that they can write so you can't even understand what they're writing, that they write in hieroglyphics, that they often have very bad handwriting, that all of the files should be actually typed up so you can understand what they're reading, and they can write crap about you. They observe what you do and write about it. They make fun of you. They laugh at you. That it's really terrible. They can read very private things about you, the students. They shouldn't have any access to your file at all.
But have you asked for your medical records, and have they always been given to you?
I think I have, and I wasn't allowed to have them.
But it says you have a right to access your medical records.
Yeah, they'll just take stuff out of it, so I won't get all of it. They know I've had problems with all the drugs. That I'm only supposed to be on small doses. They've actually been putting me on very high doses of everything.
Have they?
Yeah, on sodium valproate, which was 1500 milligram. That it caused me to have a fit, and they don't care.
You had a fit under their drugs in Graylands?
That's why I lost my licence for 6 months.
Because of the drugging? Well, they're murdering people with their drugs, I can tell you that now. And are the politicians going to stop it?
I don't care either.
The politicians are allowing it to go on, and they're helping them now. You're murderers, I'm sorry. Because you've had a chance to... You told Keith Wilson, Helen Morton told Keith Wilson on 6PR, there'll be political suicide for him if he contests the election on this issue. Well, you're a murderer. You're helping the psychiatrists. You're covering up death. You told the Parliament 2006-2007, 660 deaths in West Australia on the mental health system, and you were concerned about it and you wanted a broader inquiry, a serious inquiry. Now you've changed your mind. Now you're just covering it up because of the Barnett government or the corruption. So the politicians can either call for a royal commission, have a royal commission and stop this practice and find out how many people have died and push for prosecutions, or use the murderers because you're allowing it to go on.
That I haven't got a house now, that I'd actually like to have my own house and cook for myself and work and do very positive things, that I loved my garden, that I wanted to be a bird and butterfly garden, that I had plants in there especially for the birds that were red, called grevilleas, and I had a banksia the birds love. It was a very special tree that are keeping the water table down so our houses wouldn't crack. I was paying high rent for cracked walls and a leaking roof, that it was mouldy in my house and I smelt the mould, that it actually leaked when we had a storm, that they rented it out again without fixing anything. They don't like fixing anything. They don't like coming to your house to fix anything. The whole system is absolutely so wrong that I didn't have enough money to get an electrician in, that they wouldn't have liked it anyway. And they were supposed to check on the gas heaters all the time and to make sure that they were working, that they never made sure that my oven was working. They had no oven. I used to have to use the top of the stove. And so I bought myself special Le Creuset pots so I could cook stews. And I used to cook very nice soup as well. That I had a special pot for cooking beetroot and apple. That my sister burnt my fry pan, so when I fried everything burnt, that I used to have to use water to stop it from burning. That I'm a very sensible and intelligent woman. That I've been treated like shit. And I've had enough of the psychiatric world absolutely now. That I think what they're doing is totally inhumane and very wrong. I absolutely agree with Teresa that I'm being interviewed, that I'm speaking out on behalf of all the people that are in Graylands and the mental health system and the mentally ill. And the psychiatrists have got a very bad rate for depression because people are actually dying. And they should be held responsible for it, and it's good if the parents take them to court because they are drugging them and people are dying. That
Yeah,
I'm absolutely approve of it.
Some litigation would be good for damages. Okay, it says here you have the right to have your case reviewed. You have the right to have your case reviewed by the Mental Health Review Board. That's got to happen within 28 days. Up to 28 days. But they're supposed to be doing automatic reviews every 8 weeks.
That I'm not going back to Graylands if I can help it, that because I've been outspoken now, the police can actually take me back, that it's all very wrong, that I'm not mentally ill at all, and they already know that I'm sensible and I'm a mature person, that I actually would like to be living with a man, living with someone, so I'm not on my own. And my
in the
mother,
community.
yeah, that my mother had a heart attack when she was 69, that I've got fibrillation of the heart, that I felt it when I took my pulse, that there's an irregular heartbeat, I've already got it. And they're not testing that in Graylands. They take your blood pressure, but they don't like taking your pulse because they have to give it half a minute and then they double it, which is wrong. Because they should be doing it for a minute to everyone.
Well, they're not engaging in legitimate medical practice. What they're doing is really criminal. You've got the right to receive visits and communication.
They don't like it when you have visits and they try and make you go to sleep so you can't see the person. They know when they're coming. That my brother came and I was too sleepy to even see him because they drugged me to make me sleep with PRN. That if I'd refused it I would have been injected.
So that's really torture. You have the right to have use of your personal possessions and to vote at elections.
Well, in there you wouldn't have any rights at all. That I'd be fined for voting.
Do you have the right to use of your personal possessions?
Well, I haven't got many because they've kept them all at home. That I didn't want to bring anything in there in case it got stolen.
Yeah. Okay. And you have the right to vote in elections, and it says these rights may be restricted. So it's even stopping people from voting in an election. It's just criminal. How can you say that it's legitimate medical practice to stop people from voting in a political election? You know, this is obviously not medical, what they're doing.
There's an election in March and I'm fully intending to vote. And I'm going to go to the election.
Yes. And you have a right to confidentiality.
I don't get that in there.
You have the right to complain.
They don't like it if you do that.
You have the right to request a visit from an official visitor.
Yes. I've already asked for that, but because I'm with the law centre now, that they don't deal with you anymore.
So the law centre, I'm going to see them later on in the week. They were helping you, but they went to the meeting where you had a meeting on the 8th of August to say whether to maintain your status as involuntary patient and the outcome. Who was in that meeting?
Dr. Ong. And I can't remember the psychiatrist who was smiling when I was made involuntary because I had to be forcibly injected with high doses of medication when they knew I could only take small doses.
What was the psychiatrist's name?
I don't know. She was a woman with red hair and glasses. That she thought she was really intelligent and fantastic. That people that are diagnosed with schizophrenia are cleverer than the psychiatrists, and they don't like it because I've already told the patients that.
Well, it's not a legitimate diagnosis because there's no objective medical assessment testing in any diagnosis of any psychiatric disorder. So it's all fraud.
And I've had all this diagnosis
what they're doing.
That I must have psychoaffective disorder, which means they don't know whether I've got bipolar or schizophrenia, that they're not meant to be drugging you and they don't know what's wrong with you.
Well, they don't, because they don't do any objective medical assessment testing. The point is it's not legitimate medical practice what they're engaging in because it's not objective.
They thought I had no insight, so they wouldn't even let me see a psychologist, but I was seeing one because I'm very stressed in there, that I'm actually frightened as well, that my mother made me so stressed out. It's wonderful.
To film, to talk to the public.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's all about having a voice, giving your opinion and your views, particularly about your own life.
Yes.
The other rights here, which it says in this booklet from the Mental Health Law Centre, that you have the right to request a visit from an official visitor because they've helped you, you're saying that you don't have that right now.
No.
So they've taken that right away from you, really.
Mm.
Because it doesn't say that if you're getting advice, if you're getting assistance from this mental health law centre, that doesn't say that then excludes your right to a visit from an official visitor.
But it's
It's
an
not-
1800 number,
It's
so
not an
it's a
exchange.
free call to get in contact with them.
It's not an exchange of the right, is it?
Mm.
And it says you have a right to obtain legal advice. The Mental Health Law Centre provides free legal advice about your rights. And that they were in the hearing, there was a lawyer in the hearing with you.
Yes, but he didn't say much.
He didn't say much.
No.
Continuing with the rights of involuntary patients, supposed rights, to obtain legal advice. And this hearing you had with the Mental Health Review Board on the 8th of August 2012, in which they didn't listen to what you said.
No, they weren't even interested. They couldn't care that that the lawyer just agreed with everything that the Mental Health Board said, and to keep me on the strong drugs and injections because they know that I'm not reliable enough to take medication that I can't have, that they were giving me high doses, that it was really upsetting. My hair was falling out, that I had a fit as well on high medication. They weren't letting me drink enough water.
And the lawyer, do you know the lawyer's name?
No.
Well, this has been signed by Jason Abraham of the Mental Health Law Centre. He was in the meeting, or a lawyer from this Mental Health Law
As a
Centre.
man, I really would have liked a woman, but I have seen a woman as well.
Okay, well you were in the meeting, a male lawyer, and who else was in the meeting?
A psychiatrist, a lay person, and a lawyer from
Okay.
Mental Health Board.
So the Mental Health Board had a lawyer as well.
Mm.
They had a lawyer for them, and you had a lawyer. And do you feel that your lawyer fought for your rights?
No,
Okay, so the lawyers that from the Mental Health Law Centre,
they just agreed with what they said.
so they just agreed with what the other party said, the government workers.
That it's all very
Well,
wrong. It's
yeah.
going to have to be changed. That
Well, the
I-
lawyers have to fight for the rights of the person, the victim in this case. What's the point of having a lawyer for her or anybody else locked up in Graylands or any other psychiatric facility who's just going to agree with the government workers? The lawyer, and they have a lawyer as well helping them. Not only do they have a psychiatrist, someone from the Mental Health Review Board, a
I had
lawyer.
my own psychiatrist as well at the present.
Well, the lawyers have to fight for the rights of these people because they're being murdered. Those people are murdering people at Graylands, and the politicians, you are now, I'm sorry, you're murderers. If you don't stop this, you are murderers, because you've been letting this go on for years and years and years. There has to be a royal commission. You have to stop it. You have to change the law, and you have to stop the practice of psychiatry. Is that fair to say that?
Yes.
What's the point of her having a lawyer if you're going to agree that lawyer's going to agree with him? Who is fighting for the rights of people who are being locked up against their will and drugged with chemical compounds forcibly and who are dying and prematurely dying?
20 years before the average person.
And who told you that?
Phelps was on the news. It was on a press conference that I listened to and watched on TV before I had to see my psychiatrist, and I didn't want to see him because it was interesting. That I was learning a lot from the speech he was giving. That it was a press
who was
conference.
giving it?
Phelps, Dr. Phelps.
20
He's
years.
a psychiatrist.
And where's he from?
I'm not sure whether he's from this state
Australia.
or from it was from Australia.
It's Australia. Well, you know what, Dr. Phelps, I support you because I tell you what,
I think it's a marvellous
premature
man.
death, 20 years, across the country, across the world, plus all the murders, plus all the controlling of people's assets and money, plus all the people that are homeless, that are being drugged and they've got no money because it's been controlled by the government's public trust.